Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Today we're going to learn how to install one of these, okay? So stick around and I'll see you guys right after this. All right guys, so you have your black wire, which is the hot wire, and your neutral wire, which is the white wire. You want to make sure that these two wires don't touch. So if you have to, put some tape around the tips of them so in case they do touch, you won't short out the system. The best thing to do is just make sure you turn the power off at the breaker so you won't have to worry about that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bracket for the fan and we're going to stick our wires through this hole right here, okay? So we'll stick this white wire through first. And then we'll stick the black wire through. Now, when we took the old fan off, we had to unscrew it from these two holes right here. We had to unscrew the old bracket from these two holes, and we're gonna line this bracket up with these two holes as well. This new bracket has two channels, a channel here and a channel here. These channels allow you to adjust where you wanna put the screws, okay, depending on the configuration of the socket here. So we're going to move that up there like that. We're going to take our first screw and stick it through the channel and line it up with one of the holes. Now you don't want to tighten it up all the way because you need to move it around to line up the second channel with the second hole. So we're going to line that second one up and put it in. All right guys, you don't want to over tighten it because if you do, you may end up bending this metal. This is pretty thin metal right here, and that may cause the bracket to slip off of the screw. So just tighten it up just enough to keep it snug and you should be okay. Okay guys, so here's the motor housing and it has this bracket on it here. And you want to slip this end of the bracket into this opening right here. That's going to allow the motor housing to hang freely while you wire everything up. Okay, the wiring is pretty simple. You have the white neutral wire and the hot black wire coming from the ceiling, and you're just gonna match colors, okay? Except you have two extra colors, which is a blue and a green. The green is the ground wire, and the blue wire is gonna be with the black wire, and they're both gonna be connected to the black wire. And of course, the white's gonna go with the white. So let's take off this strap. All right, guys, and if you need to strip your wire ends, just use a wire stripper. So I'm gonna pull this end off of the ground wire. Let's go ahead and connect our white wires. Twist the ends just to make it a little easier to put your wire nut on. As a matter of fact, you can even twist the ends of the wires around each other and then put your wire nut on there and then twist. Okay, so you have your white and white. Then you're gonna take your blue and black and make sure that the ends are twisted so they're not messy and all over the place. Then you're going to connect these two, the blue and black, from the fan to the black wire coming from the ceiling. So you put those together. Take your wire nut, twist. And you have another green wire coming from this bracket, okay? This is the ground wire. You're gonna take the ground from the fan motor, connect it to the ground coming from the bracket, okay? So let me pull the tip off of this ground. And then put your wire nut over them. All right guys, so you have your green to green, which is your ground wire. You have your hot wire, which is the black coming from the ceiling, connected to the blue and black coming from the fan. And then you have your neutral, which is your white coming from the ceiling, connected to your white coming from the fan. So there you go. All right, guys, just one more thing that you should know. Now this configuration, this wiring setup, where the two blue and black wires from the fan connects to the single black wire from the ceiling, is for a single switch configuration, meaning that you only have one switch. If it was for a dual switch connection like this, then you would have a blue wire by itself coming from the ceiling to connect to the blue wire coming from the fan. So you would have a white and white, a black and black, a blue and blue, and a green and green. All right, guys, you can't test to see if your wiring is correct. You can turn the power on, turn the switch on, and see if the motor kicks in. Just pull the chain for the fan. All right, so we're gonna need these 4 screws for the next step. All right, guys, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fold our wires up. Then we're gonna lift our bracket. I'm gonna put a screw in here to hold it. If your fan is making this noise, it's probably because one of the wire nuts is not tucked in properly. It's hanging over and it's dragging against the motor as it spins, causing that clicking noise. So make sure you tuck your wires in properly. If not, you're gonna have to disassemble everything and tuck those wires back in properly. All right, so far, guys, we have our mounting plate secure. And what we did was we swung our motor assembly with the mounting bar up to the mounting plate, and we secured the mounting bar to the mounting plate with these screws. 2 here on this side and 2 here on this side. Now we're gonna take our motor housing and mount it to the mounting plate up there, but we have to take out these screws, or at least loosen them first before we can do that. Okay, so you have 2 on that side and you have 2 over here, and they're gonna be aligned with these openings on the motor housing. Take one out. So we take the housing and slide it up under that screw that we didn't take off, and then turn it to the right so it can hold steady. And we'll do the same for the other side. And once again, we have to take this one screw out and just loosen the other. Don't take it all the way out. Just enough to get the housing up under it. Slide it to the right there. Now we can put the other screw back and tighten everything up. Don't want to over tighten it because we don't want to strip the screws. And you can't take it off. Just make sure it's nice and snug there. Back to the other side. Gonna put our screw back in. Okay, so we have our housing on, nice and secure. All right, guys, getting ready to put the blades together, okay? This is the blade arm, this is the blade. Now, you don't want this part of the blade showing. You want this part showing, the brown wood grain varnish part, okay? So you gotta make sure that when you place this on the blade arm, you place it on correctly. You wanna place it on like that, where the black side is facing toward the ceiling. Now that's not written in stone. Maybe you do want the black side facing down because black matches better with the color of your room. So it depends. Anyway, we're gonna have the black side facing down in this room because the color of the room is a light gray, so we're gonna go with that. So when you put your blade on, you place it on this way, like that, okay? So the inserts match with the holes. Then you wanna take a screw and put your first screw in the center first. And take your other screw. Remember, they all have washers on them. All right, guys, we're gonna use these screws to connect the blade arm to the motor assembly. All right, guys, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections for the 5 blades we just assembled, okay? So each section has 2 holes for the 2 holes here on the blade arm. This can be kind of awkward, guys, to get this in here. Try to get one in first. Tighten it up as much as you can. Hand tighten it. And then take your screwdriver. And you want to take your other screw, put it on the other side. Make sure that you line it up with the hole. If it's not going in, it could mean that it's not lined up properly. So just kind of move the blade around until it catches. And when you screw it in, try to go straight up as much as you can, even though this is in the way. You don't want to tighten the first one all the way because you may have to move this around to line the second hole up with the hole on the motor assembly. And once you get them both in, then you can tighten them both. Okay, so we got our blades on. All right, now we're gonna install our light kit. This is where we put our light bulb. But first we're gonna remove these 3 screws here, okay? By the way, guys, if you don't want a light kit assembled or attached to your fan, you can actually remove this part right here just by unscrewing that, taking this off, and just putting it up there over this area right here. And use a cap to cap it off in the middle. Just so you know that's an option. You don't have to have a light kit. You can just cap that off with this section right here. Okay, guys, we also want to take this off. Okay, guys, so we need to unwrap this right here. We're gonna take the strap off, pull that off. And on here, you're gonna see a label that says for light. It's a blue and a white wire. On your light kit, you have a black and a white wire. You're gonna connect the black wire to the blue, and you're gonna connect the white wire to the white. And you don't have to worry about any wire nuts or anything like that connecting the wires. You have a male portion on the light kit, and you have a female portion coming from the motor assembly. So all you have to do is insert this into this. Now, if you notice on the motor assembly connections, you have the round shape with the indentations around the inner edges, okay? That one there and that one there. Excuse my dirty hands. And on the male portion of the light kit connections, you have these notches. These notches line up with those slots on the female portion, okay? All right, guys, now you want to push your wiring back into its housing here gently. But you see this opening here? That opening has to align with that area right there, okay? Otherwise, it won't go on. That opening is going to go over this area right there. And then you want to place your screws, the ones you removed before, back in those holes. You have one here and you have 2 others. Okay, so we got our light kit attached. All right, next we want to install our light bulb, the one they give you with the kit. But before we install our glass shade over the light bulb onto the light kit, just want to show you guys these screws here. These are what tighten onto the glass shade to keep it onto the light kit, okay? So right now they're backed off enough for you to install the light shade. You don't have to really back them off, but if you need to, you can just go up here and turn them to back them off. You can hand tighten them, guys. They're designed for that. Okay, guys, if you notice there are these 2 chains here. These are the pull chains. I'm gonna lower each one through these holes here. You got one on this side, and for that one, you got one on this side, okay? So I'm gonna lower them through the holes. So we're gonna attach these chains here, these fobs, they call them, to each of the chains. Now this is for the fan, and this one is for the light. Looks like a light bulb on there, doesn't it? And this one looks like a fan. Okay, so we're gonna attach that to its corresponding chain. On this side is the fan chain. So you can pick whatever level you want to on it, and you just slip the chain into this adapter. So I'm gonna turn the power on and let's see how it works. One pull is high speed, 2 pulls is medium, 3 pulls is low, and 4 pulls is off. With the light switch, it's just on and off. And you can turn your wall switch on and off to give it power or not. All right guys, all you gotta do is follow the instructions. You can have one of these up in no time. Hit the links below to support the channel. Subscribe if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.